Yeah, so my name is Cal. I'm from Vancouver as well. I didn't realize, but yeah, Canada. How many people can think of a bad thing, use that word just to describe something, a bad thing that's happening in the world where money is not involved? You will find that there isn't anything. So money is something that we need to pay attention to. And if the controlling or those that think they're in control didn't have the money and they've gotten it over thousands of years through families, they wouldn't be able to pull off some of the stuff that they're pulling off right now, because it's our belief in money and the way that they have accumulated it over generations. They're very smart this way. They've created this fraud. And I discovered it during a court case, and my story, I was just taken off on this path where I started to learn how they create money on pieces of paper called negotiable instruments. And we use them all the time, but we don't know what they are. So we've not been trained. We've been trained to be the mark or the person who's being taken advantage of. So this is the group that has sort of formed around what happened to me. I didn't plan on this. My life was going this way, and then it went that way, and now I'm standing here in Florida when I live in Canada. So this is the entity that we have. It's called Impower. It is based on a U.S. constitutional church. So it's like a PMA on steroids, because Congress can make no law respecting I always forget the word, but establishment of a religion. So we formed a church. We don't have to have it registered anywhere. We don't have to do anything to. We don't have to answer to anybody. It's completely free because of the U.S. Constitution. This is kind of my story. I only have a few minutes. So I started around 2000. I was in numerous court cases. One thing led to another. I just kept learning. Around here, the government, because they were holding me for 60 days in remand without bail, they ended up owing me $300 million because of a promissory note. Now, that may sound funny to you, but this is how their system works. It's based on these negotiable instruments. So they took the instrument, but they didn't let me go. And so after I got out, it was this learning how to collect. And so I learned a lot more about negotiable instruments. So things went on. My friend made Take Back Your Power. And because of what I had learned in commerce, the government ended up owing me $300 million, and they put it in the newspaper, and it was on TV, and it was on radio talk shows. Nobody knew what it was. We knew what it was because we'd sent it in, but they were talking about it openly. So they recognized that they owed it. So once the smart meters started coming out, my friend Josh, who made the Take Back Your Power, he asked me if there was a solution. So I was already adept at commercial process, so I wrote a document that is now called a Notice of Liability, where you hold those that are causing harm accountable personally. It's not done through a court, like all these things about the vaccine, where you can't hold them liable. You need to actually read it, because it says you cannot hold them liable in a state or federal court. Doesn't mean you can't hold them liable outside of a state and federal court. They didn't tell you that, but there it is, right? It's very plain English. So the notice of liability is kind of like a jujitsu move, where you take the energy of the one coming at you and you use it against them. So it's not an aggressive thing. It's more of a reactive. If they weren't coming at you, we wouldn't do anything. So they're coming at us, and we are flipping the tables around and holding them liable. And this goes to a chapter in the Bible. It's Revelation 18. And Revelation 18 the whole chapter is the fall of what's called Babylon. Babylon is this system that we all talk about. We don't really give it a name. So this is a voice from heaven. You can think about that any way you want. But it says, come out of her, because she's completely corrupt. Anybody recognize anything corrupt in the world? And then it says at the bottom here, reward her as she has rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. That's the Aikido move. So what we're doing is taking commercial process and feeding it back to them, and they have to drink their own medicine, or it's like the Aurora Borealis. No, not Aurora Borealis. The snake that eats its own tail. So we're feeding the snake its own tail, and we're getting some amazing results already. Oops, there we go. So how many people does it take to change the world? Turns out it's not that many. So this is kind of where we started. We ran the documents for a couple of years, just out in the, people were downloading, and we got people stepping down. Then we realized we had to, in order to have a scalable growth, we had to have an automated system. That took a long time to build, and then we have been running now with the automated system for just over a year. And so we reopened. And so we're taking these bills of exchange that were, I know I'm talking over your head, but I only got a couple minutes. So we're taking these bills of exchange and we're going to monetize them so that we can take the money that the controlling families have been taking for centuries and give it back to all of you people. And here's how it works. It's just straight math. One man or woman, one of our causes are smart meters, 5G, vaccinations, and the spraying in the air. Because it's happening everywhere in Earth exactly the same way. And they are getting our agreement on all of these things. They're not forcing it. It's a commercial process. They're getting us to agree. So it's one man or woman, one of the causes, 4 respondents. Our average daily fee is $20,000 per day times 365 days. One of you could generate about $30 million in 1 year. 1,000 people is 29 billion, almost 30 billion. 500,000 people, 15 trillion. 1 million people, 30 trillion annually. We're in 10 countries. So if we had 1 million people, that's only 0.2% of the population. And if we were generating $30 trillion in a year, we're rivaling the GDP of the United States of America. We're generating more money than this whole country. It's staggering. They cannot ignore it. It's like sending a herd of elephants right through the whole system. Here's where we are now. We've had about 200 people doing it, and if we just stayed at that, we would hit about 50 billion. Right now, from January to October, we have 1.2 billion. So we just started. So we just crossed over the 1 billion mark about 2 weeks ago. I'll leave that one. So we're monetizing harm. And just so you understand some of the step downs, like people are stepping down around the world. So we have about 200 people sending right now. We've had about 20 people step down around the world, leave their position. Rochelle Walensky is one. She was the head of the CDC. And if you go back and look at all the news, reason for leaving? Just gotta go. Same thing with this guy. This guy had death threats on him. He was quite a bad actor. He wouldn't leave his home. The police said, we should put you in protection. He wouldn't leave. He got documents, sold his house, can't find him. And this guy is like the Bill Gates of Canada. He lives in Montreal. Same thing, had to use process servers because he went dark, like trying to hide. And here are some of the others who are on our list: Biden, Trudeau, and Gavin Newsom. Yeah. So that's it.
Awesome.